Oh, gentlemen, welcome back. How you guys doing? I think the sounds are going right, man. If the sounds get any kind of scuffed, which it usually is, let me know. I can turn the music off or down, probably. I guess we don't really need music on, right? Usually we complain about it in the comments anyway.
But the vibe.
Yeah, true. I'm vibing 24/7 anyway. If you guys want, yeah, okay. Well, I turn the music off. If you guys want that in the background, let me know. But you know,
well,
so
to be fair, the real vibe is your wallpaper, Crix.
My what?
Your wallpaper.
My wallpaper.
Still the same.
True.
Oh yeah, bro. All the time.
True.
No, it's
Show wallpaper.
I was going through a Drake phase because of his new album that was actually trash. So I used this.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it. It's a sore subject. Today, guys, we're gonna go over BiS lists for each spec. Simple enough. Not each spec, not DN, shit like that. But you know, Destro, Fire, Shadow, a couple different Shadow builds, all the different BiS lists. They don't differ too much, but they do differ a little bit. And we're gonna show some love for each of them and just talk about them for about an hour or so, and then we're gonna scoot out. Instead of just starting with Affliction, I would like to wait to do Affliction until like third or fourth, because the Affliction guys always show up late and then they go, "You guys didn't show any love to Affliction." So instead of starting with them, we're gonna wait and start with like, you know, Felguard or something, because we like Felguard, and I think it's the least played out of all of them. So, Alive is the resident. Well, first off, how are you guys doing? How's your guys? Whoa, I'm tripping. How is T5? How are you guys doing?
Doing. I guess I'll start off since I opened my big mouth, but it's been pretty good, man. We had a few unlucky mind controls on Vash. I mean, we're to the point where we don't want to give our Resto Druid more gear because he's just inting us on Vash. He'll get mind controlled at like 3% and just be parsing his heals into Vash, just boom, boom, boom. Anyways, but it's been going good. We've been getting really lucky with the Warlock and Mage tokens, like I was telling Ryu earlier. And I even wrote down on the Discord, I was lucky enough to get my T5 Pant token, and we have our shoulder token on our Mages and Hunters, so I'm going to pick that up next time it drops and finally go back to Felguard. Big Pog.
Yep. I'm doing the same. I'm going Felguard. I'm actually going to go next week to Felguard. I don't have any T5 yet, but I'm going to go without it. I'm curious of the BiS list because I just made mine and I want to see how you feel about the two-piece, but we'll get into that in a minute. JP, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. I got my Sextant that I've been chilling for. So
Ooh, how is it?
All is
Let
good.
us know, bro.
It's
How
actually,
is it?
You know, the Sims might disagree, but it feels way, way better than Quags.
Hey,
Not even close.
I'm telling you, Sims aren't everything, bro. That's what I mean, there are a lot of things, but I don't think everybody. I don't think people need to
Especially
live and die
for
by
trash,
Sims.
it
Yeah,
is
exactly.
so much better.
Well, even with Sims, like maybe the information input to the Sims, like the coding, isn't flawless because the Sim was crafted before any like heavy data analysis could be done on Sextant. So
I think it just gives us a general idea of everything.
We know it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It Sims better than Icon in some situations. It's definitely always Sims worse than Quags, but we can talk about that here in a little bit. Once we get into BiS lists.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Sextant, it's funny because I think it's been really the victim of, if it's not BiS, it's garbage mentality. Because I remember back in the previous like Discord that you made, Crix, like people were saying, yeah, no, Sextant's pretty good. Like we'll be seeing some uses, and then we started seeing like the BiS list, technical BiS, which are like Icon plus Quags at the time, and like people were starting to say, "Oh, Sextant's absolute shit. It's only good in seed set." I was like, "No."
Well, I
mean,
I feel like that's a problem that goes
for everything.
Beyond. Yeah, it's beyond
for everything,
WoW.
honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at most games. It's just like the genre, the day that we live in. Like, if something isn't the best, it's crap.
Of course, no, that's it. But like, definitely, Sextant has been hit hard by that. Especially since apparently it's BiS, but yeah, that's speaking of which, like I think the trinket is going to be with the Brewfest as well. It's going to be a very interesting discussion when we actually get down to it.
Yeah, I like that trinket a lot. I got it day one, and I've been enjoying it a lot so far.
Same.
My mate.
Also, it's a freaking pipe. Just like
TLDR, guys, for anybody wondering, because I get asked this, I think more than I've ever been asked a question. Use Quags on one of those trinkets on single target.
What, sorry?
Use Quags and one of those trinkets on single target. How many times have you guys have been asked if you use double on use?
Actually,
yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. It seems better, for sure. Thing is,
what Sib's better?
Quags and one of the icons pretty much. Thing is, I think that having at our level of gear, it seems better as in P2BiS gear, but like at our level of gear, P1BiS, it's about the same, and even at P2BiS gear, I think it doesn't seem enough better to justify using it all the time. It's really more of a judgment call as to whether or not things line up well with the cooldowns of the actives and the internal cooldown of quags. So really, it's I think it's a bit more art than science, and I'm really enjoying like experimenting with everything.
Well,
I'm really enjoying popping it and then switching trinkets. That's it.
Right. So something I've tried to communicate, even since Quags was first a thing, right? We're in phase 1, is that haste only gives you a DPS increase after certain breakpoints, right? Like, say your Quags procs right before Lurker goes down, and you don't gain an extra cast from that, right? Stuff like that. Like, haste has hard breakpoints to where it actually nets you DPS. On a patchwork fight, it's pretty much always going to net you DPS. On something like Bash or Lurker or I don't know, literally anything, KT might not give you DPS increase, right? So
I have two different points. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, just real quick. Sorry,
yeah, sure, go.
Yeah, so I agree on principle, but the thing is, Quag being like so short, both in duration and ICD, and especially the fact that with a longer, like if you manage to fit 4 casts, like by either as Shadow by adding a short cast before the third Shadow Bolt, or like as Fire, just using 4 straight up cast of Incinerate, you extend this value quite a lot, and you do end up. It's like very, very likely that you hit one of these breakpoints like super easily. So
for sure.
I agree. So exactly. So I agree that it's a question of breakpoint, but I don't think it's a good way to think about it, because in practice, the fact with Quag, the fact that you're not hitting that breakpoint is not an issue.
More times than not, sure, you will benefit, but there is opportunity.
Yeah, there are some very situations, but I consider them as edge cases. Anyway, you wanted to say, Alive?
Well, I think I could play off of both points here. So starting with Ryusei, you said that it doesn't technically sim that well, and I would start that off by saying it really depends on what sim you're running, and this is not to show for my man J-Paint, but this is one of the reasons I kind of like your sim a little bit more than the one that we're using right here, is because you can control when your Bloodlust is popped, which kind of changes the double on use dynamic, because you could technically use a pop with a Destro pot and your Orc Racial, etc. for 1, and then you could get the whole second duration off after the 20-second cooldown of the first trinket finishes. You repop for the second one, so you have it during the whole lust time, and of course, you have more control over when you can use cooldowns. So like Lady Vosh, for example, whenever you get the double spawns when you have an elite and you have a strider, that is a good time to pop. And actually 2-minute cooldowns line up really, really well on that fight as she goes face to face, because you can pop it right at the beginning, and then it'll come up for the first elite, and then it'll come up for the first double spawn, etc., etc. Anyways, going off on a tangent there a little bit, but I think more control is better than less control, especially when we have burst scenario type fights as opposed to patchwork type fights.
I do agree.
But
100%.
I would also say, to J-Pain's point, that you could argue that, you can control Quags. Kind of. It has an ICD. You can make a weak ore and track the ICD. So you can tell when your Quags is coming in, kind of like live tap, or like set yourself up for it as best as you can. However, no matter how much you set yourself up, Lady Vosh or some of these fights, for example, you might be transitioning into a phase where there are no elite adds up. It's only, water elementals or whatever. And you don't really need the Quags proc. But what are you going to do? Not cast and try to save it? That's not really an option either. So while Quags is most of the time very, very good, there are some awkward moments. So with that information in mind, and also knowing that with the double on uses, you don't only have more control, but on top of that, you can fit them both within a lust timer, it's really quite relevant at the current moment in time having double on use trinkets.
I mean, the part on the lust timer is fine, because you're gonna have a proc of Quags in the last timer.
Yeah,
but on top of the awkward moments, I completely agree, because whoever here has not have a quack proc on the very first curse they do.
Yeah, it sucks.
Just like everybody knows that, and literally that's one of the things that I've been seeing at the very beginning of the discussion. Everybody was saying, yeah, sometimes it procs at very bad time, especially on curse, and like it's shit. And like I can only agree.
I've had that shit proc at the dumbest times, man.
Also, and again, this is not going to be relevant at all times, but haste only gives you simulated DPS as long as you have resource to spend. So like, obviously a good warlock will be preemptively tapping rather than waiting till he's absolutely but not all warlocks have that sort of foresight, not all warlock players. So some of you warlock players that are not so used to playing the class, you might be running yourself and then you get a quag proc and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just use this haste for a quicker life tap or something. So especially, and this is even more relevant when you're seeding, like gaining haste rating while you're seeding is a huge DPS increase. Haste rating's amazing, but it's only good as long as you have resource to spend on whatever spell you're casting.
By resource, you mean your healer's mana, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like I've said, like being able to control your damage as fights gain more mechanics is much more valuable than playing around an ICD and hoping, right? Like being able to control that, I get to use a trinket when shit's going crazy at the end of phase 2 of Ash is much more important than getting a random quag proc on an elemental and then running all the way across and not doing anything, right? So it like I was talking to someone earlier and I was trying to explain that while sims are great and all for normal gear, handling procs, you kind of need to use your brain a little bit in some capacity and not just blindly trust the numbers. Think about the fight you're doing. Think about why you would use each trinket and what their benefit are.
Well, also, it's kind of clear that there are little things that you can micromanage to improve your gameplay. Otherwise, these sort of patchwork fights, all of the warlocks that are equally geared would be having the exact same Warcraft logs, and that's not what we see. We see a curve of players consistently getting 99s and some players consistently not getting 99s, even though they have similar gear levels. But I think it's just about time that we move into sims and probably the setups.
Intense trinket conversation, boys. So
it was.
Yeah, you want to go over set first? I have one question for you about that T5 2-piece. This is what when I was building this on stream a little bit ago for Felgar.
Yeah, I was watching.
There's
a few items I disagree with. I'll link you what I have.
Yeah, the weapon I'm just feeling out about, but the main thing I'm wondering is if you were to run 2-piece, what would you get rid of with it? Like, would you not run engineering goggles? Is that the thing?
No, I'd go shoulders pants.
That's what I was thinking.
Shoulders
pants ASG.
Yeah, and what we talked about last time was I tried a setup where you went 2-piece T5 and 2-piece T4. Because of the 2-piece T4 proc, obviously, the spell power is really good as Demonology, but it came out like 25-ish DPS under this setup that I sent you. And clearly, 2-piece T5, it heals your pet. Healing your pet doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't add damage to anything. So if you don't need to heal your pet, then you don't have to run 2-piece T5. However, the shoulders and the pants are already extremely well statted items as is, so it's not like you're losing that much.
Well, besides the T4 2-piece is what I'm questioning.
Yeah.
What was your sim on this? Did you run sims on this? What was the number?
Yeah, I got the sim right here for you. Oh, if I copy paste this, you won't actually get the data. Anyways, I was right.
You can say the number.
Yeah, so it's averaging out to about 2390. 24, 2398, 2399, 2390. So like 2400.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. Yeah,
and that's with
22, 23.
I think that's with 58% ISB uptime, survival hunter in the group, fairy fire, improved expose armor, blah blah blah. One bloodlust, not cheesing with 2.
Yeah, same.
And
I always
no
keep it at 1, even though sometimes we usually get lusted, but I still keep it at 1 anyway.
And that's with no improved scorch as well, obviously.
Yep. Okay, we're sort of saying I'm gonna actually do this while we're talking about stuff, just so some people might see it and be like, oh, that's kind of cool, Anyway, continue.
Well, do you want to go over Felguard first?
We just go over the BiS list, right?
I'm
You
not
wanna
saying
put
that
it
you're
up on
using.
Boom, baby.
Yeah, let's put that up because I'm noticing that you're using the Glad weapon, which is
I was.
of course an interesting.
Yeah, you are.
Which is of course an interesting choice. I think. Yeah, it's how does your set change if you actually are not good enough to go Glad and need to use your
You don't have to. So you don't have to get Gladiator to get the weapon.
No, not Gladiator, but like the Merciless Gladiator. Sorry, the PvP weapon. So 18, 50, 50 ratings. Look. So how does that change? How does that change? Because that's a question that's relevant and interesting because of like 15 hit on there.
Yeah, you would just wear Fang and you'd have to stock some stuff around. It's possible, but it's when I did that. Exactly, so I ran this way. Well, and then swap the weapon with some hit, and the Glad weapon was better.
No, I mean I agree. I'm just wondering how he thinks, if he already has thought about these changes because to show it to other.
Yeah. So just basically, it stays the exact same. You could say that you could swap to Hands of Flowing Thought, or you could swap one of your rings, but it doesn't make your hit rating line up perfectly at 13.00. So I ended up just going with playing around with the gems and staying with the Magtheridon gloves.
I think you just drop weapon gem differently because you're gemming very high spell power right here, so you can gain all the hit through gems if you drop weapon.
But yeah, like someone said in chat, Vanadar, that's actually a smart pickup. We are talking about the Felguard build in particular. Mm-hmm. So you guys will notice that I'm not going for as many crit items because crit loses a lot of value in Felguard. You don't have Ruin, and your Felguard doesn't gain anything off of your crit rating. So you basically just want to get hit cap and get as much spell power as possible. That doesn't mean crit is worth nothing. Crit was simming out for me in this current setup to be worth about 0.29, I believe.
Sounds about right. Usually around 0.3 for Demo.
Wait, 0.3 you say, Chapin?
Yeah.
Should be more like 0.5 or 0.6, no? One crit.
Crit's nice. It's nice to crit always, but it's not
more along those lines, right?
So if you take ISB consideration into the crit calculation, then yeah, it's closer to 0.5.
Right, yeah.
But as a raw damage increase for yourself, it is around 0.3, yeah.
Yeah, no, fair point.
Nightmare boots.
I'm waiting to see how long
the meme as Felguard, we like boots, Shifting Nightmare over Blasting because it's more spell power, less crit. We don't care about the crit that much, like you said.
Yeah, and even then, if you get Boots of Blasting, it's not like they're terrible. They're very, very close.
It is nice to crit.
Nightmare is a tiny bit better.
Yeah, exactly. And then spell damage is Shadow, which is all you're doing too.
Immolate too. But yeah, still.
Well, even with this setup, you would still run Immolate, even if you don't have a Fire Mage. So on the sim, it showed about a 35 DPS increase, keeping Immolate rotating as opposed to not rotating. Without Scorch.
Interesting. I forgot about this cloak. I didn't even put it. I didn't forget. I knew it was there. I just didn't think about getting it.
Yeah, I mean, Warlocks won't get it most likely.
Yeah. Well,
Shadow Priest
damage versus.
Shadow Priest, Arcane Mages, which fair enough.
Yeah, but only one Shadow Priest, only one Arcane Mage in my guild at least. So eventually, I got my fingers crossed. Eventually.
You're one of the lucky ones. So many guilds run a few mages.
But I mean, I have Ruby Draper the Mysticant, which is also really good. So I wouldn't even really need Royal Cloak unless I was ready to drop hit rating somewhere else.
Yeah. Any questions on the demo? The O of the Deem? Any closing thoughts on it? We're just going over specs. I mean, not specs, but BiS list stuff for it. I don't really have.
You mean
anything.
From us or for chat?
No, from chat and us. Any closing thoughts from us, and then anything from chat, gear wise for Demo. If not,
I'd be interested to see how Nexus Key simmed for Demo, considering the amount of stats on it.
Yeah, I looked at that as well, and I was kind of hoping that it was good, just because I think it'd be cool. But it was a while ago that I simmed it. I think it was like 30 or 40 DPS decrease. You can sim it right now.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to adjust your head a little bit.
Yeah,
though.
I have to reduce some hit a little bit.
But yeah, just switch straight up and see what the difference is without adjusting.
I can go
I'm
to
just
the chest.
curious.
Just put some fucking shit on real quick, just to get a little bit closer, you know.
Or just put Ruby
do
Drape
that.
if you want to adjust. It's like 10 out of the 15 needs. But
exactly, it's like 15, 20 less.
Gotcha. So that's a pretty good option for until you get your glide weapon or something.
Engine goggles better. Why not use T5 head and leg as demo? If you're not engineering, yes, you should. That'd be a good idea. I guess we should have said that. Yeah, if you're not engineering, you would just have your head 2-piece there until you got your T5. And then you can run a good pair of gloves like ISG, hand wraps, or soul eaters or something.
Also, I just want to address what a lot of people are saying in Twitch chat. You don't have to go demo. We're not necessarily saying demo is the best. We're just going over every single spec because a lot of people feel left out if we don't bring up every single spec. So we are starting with demo, but we're going to be hitting Affliction, Fire Destro, Shadow Destro, and all that good stuff. We're just hitting demo first.
So we're literally changing to Fire Destro literally as soon as I finish this question. T4 head. Dude, how much was your sim on head and gloves running T4 piece over the 20 spell power gain from goggles?
Wait, for what? For fire?
Yeah, no, for demo.
When I was doing...
This is 20 spell power pretty much, right?
When I was doing double 2-piece, T4, T5, it was like 30 DPS less.
That's crazy. I wouldn't all for 20 DPS. So that 20 DPS or that 20 spell power or something is better than 2-piece proc. Okay, that's really weird. I'm still running engineering because I'm not going to swap that. It's a good amount. All right, fire, big boys, the fire speakers, preach.
Yeah,
I got this list. Listen, if you want me to change anything, let me know. I'm not the fire guy, but
Amulet of the Tornheart. That's not fire. Well, fire resist.
It's a type of fire.
So on that thing, one thing that I want to say instantly that I see is the cloak. Because the cloak is an interesting piece because it's really a toss-up, like literal toss-up within like 1 or 2 DPS between Ruby Drape with like spell power gems, or like the other 2 cloaks which have no hit and with like spell power and hit gems. So if you have any of the 3 interesting cloaks, so that Brute Cloak of the Ogre Magi or Cloak of the Sunstriders, you can run it. So that's definitely that's not definitive. Same for the pants. You could do tier 5 pants for basically like 2 or 3 DPS difference, actually in favor of tier 5 pants, and 40 stamina more. So now that this is out of the way, these are like the points of contention. This is about the best you can do on Fire Destro, because we'll see the same question answered differently for Shadow Destro. The question is, how do you keep your 2-piece tier 4? Because that you really want it as Destro. And the question is like, you're keeping the shoulders because they're a good piece by itself, and that's just an easy one to keep. So the question is like, do you keep your hat or do you keep your gloves? And Spellfire Glove is just like so good for Fire Destro, but it makes you use the head. Shadow Destro answers that slightly differently. It can go tier 5 head and change the gloves. So, but apart from that, that's pretty much it. And if you want to see a priority for Vash Chest and Solarian Wand. Also, as per what we discussed on demo, you can change the weapon to the PvP weapon and like drop a little bit of hit elsewhere, which would favor non-hit cloaks. And anything else to add, JPent?
No, other than that, it looks good to me. Like you said, I would probably go tier 5 legs just for the stam and surviving.
Okay.
It seems like 1 or 2 DPS difference. Like you're obviously the last one to get them, right? Mages and hunters all get it before you. And I'm gonna shill Sextant for fire.
Do it.
I would run Sextant. That is personal preference. I also am not ever opposed to running 2 trinkets on use, like we said at the beginning. Now that we have that pipe in the game,
I'm gonna try
So-
that. Yeah.
I agree. Like the double on use is very good as well. Also, for fire to add a little bit, double on use is actually better than for shadow because over a 20-second period with 0 haste, you actually cannot fit a shadow bolt because of a lag server. But you don't have this issue with incinerate because it's slightly lower than an equal. It's not an equal divisor or number of 20.
Right. Assuming no haste, right? Other than that,
yeah, assuming no haste. Assuming no haste, yeah, of course.
Other than that, yeah, this is fire BiS 100%.
There you go. Looking
Yeah,
TV. So
and
let me ask you, how's
one
fire feeling in T5? I haven't done it yet. How's it feeling?
Yeah, I haven't
So
either.
precious.
It's
Does
honestly,
it feel
it's
fucking magical? It's hitting
it's
200
it's really
DPS
good.
higher on my Sims in the fucking shadow, so I'm fucking.
I mean, it's really good for me. I just it's a Destro spec, so you know that's the kind of simplicity there, ease of use, and the fact that the fact of the matter is you actually when you seed a lot of time you're AoE capped, so that's not even that much of an issue. Obviously, I'm not in a guild that like speedruns or zooms, but I don't really ever had an issue with the problem. You know, everybody is sucking succubus, sucking imp. Like everybody made a huge deal of that, and like, it's fine. It's completely fine. I like it.
Have you guys, you and JPan, have you guys only been fire every week?
Yes,
have
I've
you done
never
anything
played
else?
Shadow.
You haven't played any other spec yet?
No,
That's crazy.
of course not.
You're not fucking bored
played-
out of your fucking mind right
I played
That's some commitment, man.
I played Affliction when I was level 67 in Gruul.
now?
That was
Jesus
it.
Christ. Yeah, I can't say the same
And I
spec.
stood there and
I literally
pressed
can't
Chris
say the same
Feldman's
spec back to back.
30 times. Stood there and pressed Chris Elements 30 times before it didn't resist.
You did a great job, buddy.
You
Yep.
did your part, bro.
As long as it's stuck, you know, that's what counts.
Yeah, and I spent the rest of the 5 minutes, like pressing it again to make sure, like when it fell, it didn't. I was just refreshing.
A nice
But yeah,
one parse.
I've only ever played Fire.
And I looked at your part. You have only been demo the whole time, except for one time you were Affliction or something, right? Alive? When I was looking at your
No,
I thought I saw that last phase.
All of T5, I'm playing Shadow Destro so far. Well,
so
just
far. Oh yeah,
just,
you're waiting for the
just
T5, yeah.
Destro, period. But yeah, I know Demo's gonna fall off, right? It just doesn't scale as well. But I'm gonna try to cheese as
Hold
much
on to
as
it
I
while you
can in
can, bro.
T5. Yeah, and plus, Succubus Demo actually freaking owns, and I'm gonna try to get some.
She's dying every.
I know, but I'm gonna try to cheese a few parses here and there. On trash, she's gonna get obliterated.
She can
She's
live
just
on
gonna
bosses. She might live on some bosses, bro.
Yeah, I mean, on trash, she can just, give me a fist bump, stand right next to me, watch from afar. But on a lot of bosses, she actually lives pretty well. Maybe not like allll. There's some bad bosses like Lurker, allll. Obviously, pretty bad. But on the bosses that it's good, it's real good.
How you handling phase 1 Alara with Felguard? Are you gonna let him chase him around, or are you gonna park the Succubus? I think I'm gonna park the Succubus.
I'm still debating on it. I mean, all's just not a pretty fight for Demo, regardless. It's just not.
I think you open up and let him pump on the first platform, and then either see if he goes and see if you want to commit to because he has that charge, or let him pump first platform
intercept.
and then fell down a Succubus and let her just chill by you for the 15%, and then go back to Felguard.
He's definitely gonna pump on the first platform. It's just a matter of what comes next.
He might go. I mean, since there's a higher chance of going next door than across. So I mean.
Yeah. Well, actually, we got insanely lucky on our clear this Tuesday. It only went back and forth, like on platforms right next to each other, back and forth.
Same thing happened.
Yeah,
and we just obliterated it
back and forth.
Yeah, but I mean that's some really good RNG. You can't count on that. If only intercept was a 5-second cooldown.
Well, if he goes across, you can just let him cleave the ads for a little bit.
Ooh. Yeah.
Ooh.
True. Big brain.
Yeah. I can't wait to do it this week.
I'm just excited to do it on fights like Tidewalker and like Fathom Lord. Yeah. I mean, those are the fights where you're just like, oh baby.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of Felguard, let's talk about Shadow Destro. Many of us are. That's pretty much the other spec everybody is, obviously. Let me find my thing, please. Stand by. Oh, there it is. This is what I got. Okay, that's not it either. 1 second. Sorry. What I got, man. Let me re-look at this. I'm actually gonna try this duel, like you said. I kind of like that because once you said I like quags, right? Which is crazy because I hated it on private servers. I like quags. So and then when you said how many times have you fucking cursed and it procced, I was like, oh man, that hurt my heart. Right when you said that, that hurt my heart. I'm gonna have season weapon as well. So, but the blade's up to you guys. I feel like it's more up to you guys than us, obviously. But I like the blade. I'm going for the blade.
Being able to control your damage is just it's just so much better to me.
Yeah, I think really, at this point in time, Quag is not out-simming by enough for you to want to relinquish the control. Like for instance, if you at the end of phase 3, except on certain situation, I would like drop Crescent just because of the scaling of everything, and Quag scales with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, until then, like 6-7 DPS, you're never feeling it in a real situation, but you are feeling it like killing a Naga and a Strider a little bit faster because you pop down use. So that's what makes the difference between a kill and a wipe, not a 7 DPS sim. And God knows that like I'm a huge shill for sims.
Yeah.
Well, for sims, think real life all the time, though.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I feel like we see this in retail WoW all the time too, in Mythic rating. Like some specs have really good throughput damage, and technically they sim to be the better DPS spec. But still, some of these like top world progression guilds, and I'm not saying that TBC is like that because obviously TBC rating is not nearly as hard as Mythic retail rating or scaled as high or whatever. But the point is a spec or trinket or an item or something along those lines might not sim to be the best, but it has really good on-demand use, which is practical because some bosses need on-demand burst damage to, get a double set of ads down or burst through an absorption bubble or something like that. So I don't know. I'm all for the like more control type of gameplay rather than proc based gameplay.
Ignore me, I'm just tweaking with this.
Unless of course it is truly actually just a patchwork fight. Then you just
say
go
like
for the sim.
Say your closest patchwork is like Hydros if you don't kill the ads.
I kind of think Leoteras is also very close to patchwork. Sure, you have a bit of movement depending on the whirlwind RNG, but like mostly it's just 10 variant dump.
That's a super easy one.
We get asked a lot as well is professions with these with Shadow Dash, or at least I know Fire doesn't go engineering, Demo does go engineering. For Shadow God, you want engineering if you can get it. You do want engineering. So, it looks like you have for me, I have engineering and tailoring. I wait for Boots of Blasting. When that drops, you drop tailoring and you pick up enchanting and you enchant your ring.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is the reason why I'm not running Frozen Shadow Wave. You can run Frozen Shadow Wave for a little bit more of a DPS increase, but then you can't enchant your wings because then you would have to keep tailoring.
Yeah, right. One thing that I find interesting in Profession is that, so in phase 1, everybody knew it's tailoring enchanting. Sure, technically for the best DPS. Now, the discussion is really for engineering to pick up the goggles, right? So, but I think that the problem is, if you go engineering, you're even not really going for the goggles. The goggles are just a nice bonus. You're really going for everything else, all the other gadgets that engineering gives you. Like the grenades, the sappers, the rocket boots, even the belt for PvP. If you're doing that, and it just like the goggles are the icing on the cake. So, in my view, if you want to use the gadget of engineering, go for it. And if you are not gonna be using the grenades, using everything like that, even if it's slightly better, I don't think it's worth getting away from tailoring and enchanting, except if you have a huge bankroll. Just because even on the next few phases, it's not you have pieces that are not technically BiS that are made by tailoring, but you're gonna be using them more likely than not if you have access to them, just because they're way easier to get than the BiS. Or just because they're
helm is still like 22 spell power, 6 crit, and something like that. That's big. Boost is what, 9 spell power, 10 hit, 6 spell crit. I mean, like,
Yeah. No. So yeah. I mean, my view is really just the professions. Enchanting, you're kind of going always for the 24 spell power if you want to just like pump most. And then the choice between tailoring and engineering depends on, am I going to be using the engineering goodies? If yes, go for it even if you fire Destro. You're going to be losing a little bit of sim DPS, but sappers and grenades. And if no, don't go for it even if you're like Shadow or Demo, because it's just not going to be that worth. You're just like losing some future potential for not enough of a gain right now. That's my view on it.
Why are top guilds not using firelocks? Because the mages want to go arcane. They want to go arc frost, all of them. So I don't have a choice. I don't want to force it either. It's like not a big deal to me. I prefer playing Shadow because it looks cooler to me. But but we don't have just no shot. It's not there is no point in fighting it. I'm not gonna win. So I'm bored to Shadow.
But if you don't worry about money, considering the professions, going back to that, if you're one of those people who's an oil prince and the money is no issue, you can still get all of the different things for your items. You just keep enchanting, and you start off with enchanting tailoring. You keep your tailoring until you have your boots of blasting if you're playing Destro. You make your boots of blasting because those are BOP. The belt of blasting you can just buy. You make that, and then you can drop tailoring and go engineering, and you get all three. You get the enchants, the blasting items, and you get the NG items. If you're an oil prince and you want to go through all that. But if you're not, then you can easily just stay enchanting and tailoring, and it's not going to absolutely destroy your DPS by not having the goggles. Like T5 helmet's not that bad, or you can just go 2-piece T4. It's really not that big of a deal.
Yep.
Someone's asking about boots of blasting and versus boots of shifting nightmares for Destro. 20 spell power versus 25 crit rating. So I bet you it's probably the exact same.
It's really close.
Yeah, look, already on the same.
I think we're like 3 DPS.
But you are right. It would be boots of shifting.
Yeah,
if you went off
because crit rating should be like 0.67 or something like that, or
exactly what it is actually.
So the spell power takes over. And the spell power is more relevant on a lot of situations as well, like any sort of multi-dotting situation, like if you're multi-dotting on Fathom Lord, or if you're multi-dotting ads on P2 of Lady Vosh, etc. The more you multi-dot, the better the spell power is going to be versus the crit.
Oh wow, I'm actually, yeah. Oh my god, I hate when I do that.
Another pair of boots that really aren't bad are Velvet Boots of the Guardian. If you're not getting blasting, that's a really good option to go with.
Yes, but I would say don't go with that because it's like super contested by other classes, and you basically spirit.
That's the wrong spec on Shadow Destro. I forgot to change it to the Cataclysm build. That was the other one. So that's actually a little bit higher. Yeah, Cataclysm is shit, but it's still better than the other way, obviously. So regardless if it's Cataclysm's a meme, it's better right now. So it's regardless. What do you guys, ever since any time I've ever been in the Warlock Discord, what do we use to measure what is better? Sims. So if this sim is showing 30 DPS more or whatever, why would we, what makes you not want to do it?
What do you mean for in general, or for instance in the Cataclysm versus like
Cataclysm build? So you take away Emberstorm and Emo, you put it into Cataclysm, and you don't do anything but cast Shadowables, and it sims higher.
Just toggle infinite mana to realize the fact that you have a lot of free taps.
Yeah.
So that because basically the problem with Immolate is that it's its mana cost. So if you toggle infinite mana to simulate, the fact that you won't have any mana issues due to casting Immolate, it should change the picture quite a lot.
If I why would I put on player mana infinite? That means all my spells are free.
Infinite player mana in you see over just to the right.
Yeah, it's right here. Mana, yeah. Why would I put it on?
It's no. Well, you should put it on because that smooths out.
That means all my spells are free. That's what that means. That literally means all my cast spells are free. So why would I do that?
Well, that also simulates that's the closest way a sim can go to a situation where you say, I have free taps, so I have no mana problem. So same, like for instance, are you using mana or Destropot, and why would you ever have the option to use Destropot in a sim? It's because sometimes you don't have mana issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can free tap. So it's the same. Like if you want to see the impact of a Destro bot versus a mana bot in a fight where you have free life tap, that's how you do it. Same for Immolate.
I mean, the sim doesn't give us an exact perfect way to analyze this, but I agree with Ryu's basic point. Like, not most of the fights are just pure sit there and cast shadow bolts. Like Lady Vosh, for example, or any fight that you have any mechanic or movement or anything like that on. Like even on Magtheridon, if you have a cube assignment, or if you're getting popped around on Magtheridon, or if you're moving to the next Strider on Lady Vosh, or if you're moving to the next ad on phase 3 of TK, or whatever it is, you have areas where you can life tap. And if you have free areas to life tap back up every time that you're about to yourself, like you go from 100% mana to 20%, and then you have a period where you can life tap back to 100, then Cataclysm doesn't really come into play. It could sim as more damage because we're simming in a patchwork scenario over a 4-minute fight or something like that. But in reality, most of the fights have areas where you can life tap for free with no damage loss.
See? 15 TPSI already.
Without. No, that's without.
No, without.
I mean, yeah, I don't. This is my build I'm doing.
Because inferior player mana is no, yeah. But also,
I don't use it.
Also, the other. Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Any Destro shoot questions in there? We can move on to Affliction after that.
Someone said, doesn't a Shadow Ball always do more than an Immolate? No. Per cast, yes. Per second casting, no. Which is why Immolate is a DPS increase for Shadow Destro until you have tier 6 4-piece.
I don't agree, but we're going to agree to disagree and move on to Affliction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so we did Demo, we did Shadow, we did Fire.
Just App, baby. Just
App Ruin?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
SM Ruin.
That's the only real one.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. Oh, well, and have you simmed?
Ain't nobody
have you simmed
casting UA?
Actually,
well, why are you
people are though. For some, I don't know. They just. I don't know. I actually get people coming in my chat a lot asking about UA and being like, "No, well, you guys keep sleeping on UA." I'm like, well, I mean, I think like UA. I'm gonna go AF not this week, but next week, and I'm gonna go UA first because I think it'd be really fun to do UA on some fights, right? Just to have like KT UA, Fathom Ward. That could be fun, but it's SM Ruin, 100%.
But on the mobs that
shadow it
dispel,
out in your mind.
But on the mobs that dispel, doesn't UA explode? Huh?
You what?
On the mobs that dispel their friends, doesn't UA explode? Huh? Thought about that yet?
Yeah, but that doesn't hurt me.
The five head play?
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's an extra seed or something.
Yeah, that's nice.
No,
I guess it's not
seed. It's not
AoE,
seed.
yeah.
It just damages. Yeah, it just damages a lot. But I think it's like it's actually a huge coefficient. It's like maybe 180% spell. Like the explosion is 180% spell power or something like completely nuts. Anyway,
and then you get mind controlled on Vash, and they dispel it on you after you break mind control.
Of course.
I mean, I feel like.
It goes. But UA is.
I feel like
it's kind of interesting.
Is it?
Because it's the thing. Ever since you got like your Pre-BiS, it has been a no contest in favor of Ruin, especially with CSD. But even without CSD, it's like Ruin seems higher. The thing is, UA is good in the sense that it adds a little bit more in terms of any situation where you multi-dot, and also the fact that if you don't have Ruin, you are hit less by the fact if you are put in a group that's not the caster group, well, the lock group, with the Nile Shaman and the Boomy. So I feel that like UA has a very, very little niche that does exist, that's not going to be relevant for a lot of people, but if you know exactly what you're doing on some bosses, it can be useful in some comps.
It'd be for fun.
I think it has some areas that it is nice, but if you're looking at just T5 rating in general, I don't think it's the play.
No,
unless you're
just because it has
fun.
Just because it has some areas where it really shines, doesn't mean that it's the spec to play overall. In my opinion, I would go with Averun.
One of those things where if you have a council fight and you just want to have a little bit of fun with it, like Illidauri council or something, which I'm gonna do too. But you should be SM Ruin.
Yeah.
When it comes to even those fights, if you think of like FLK or Vash or anything with ads, I think SMRU would still beat out UA on those ones, like UA, unless you're chain. Maybe not Fathom Lord. It'd be interesting. I don't know.
Or like
Sounds
for instance,
fun, though.
Bash, if you want to kill the bats, it adds 1 dot on that. You pad a little bit, but honestly, it's not really. I don't think it's the way to go, as I've said.
I wish
But,
it was more because it's really fun. The UA playstyle's fun, just trying to put up all the dots on things. So it's kind of sad that it's not that good, but
yeah.
But at that though, it wasn't like a drastic. I don't remember the DPS being like drastic.
It is fairly drastic, honestly. The difference.
I think it's over 150 DPS, right?
Yeah,
Fuck
currently
mine.
it's more than 150. Right now, it's like in tier 4 it was 100. Right now it's more than 150. Like it's bigger than the difference between Fire and Shadow. So, or like about the same difference as Fire and Shadow.
Damn.
So like
That sucks.
Yeah.
That big yikes. That sucks. Well, you know what? Lich King Affliction. Your Affliction. There you go. You know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wrath
You
of
Affliction
you
boys should
own.
stick in there, man. I play Affliction too. Like every other couple of weeks, I'll play Affliction. But you die hard Affliction. Just stick in there, bro. It's almost your time.
onto your Demo support in Wrath.
I'm playing Demo support.
Demo
Dude,
support. Oh, Demo support, but it can pump too. It can if played right. I can't wait to see a live play the shit out of that fucking Demo.
it's not bad. I think it's very medium tier DPS. But I just can't help it because, dude, Metamorphosis is the coolest ability
Literally
Warlocks
the
have
coolest
ever had. Okay, and then they were like, we're introducing Demon Hunters into the game. We can't be having this Metamorphosis talent. Oh no, we got to take that. Delete Demon Hunters. Give Warlocks Metamorphosis back. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I mean, I can't wait because it's Affliction. It's all dots, haunt, UA, everything. Curse of Agonies. Your dots get haste and crit. Get away from me. Get away from me.
They don't get it yet. I think they don't get both yet. I think maybe there's a talent for corruption to crit and a glyph for haste or something. But they don't get all dots. Don't get both baseline. I think that was Cataclysm.
No, but Agony, Corruption, UA does. Those ones do. The big ones. Your big ones will do it.
Don't think they all do. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see later on.
Corruption Skulls. Yeah, I know. You can choose which version of you get. Oh yeah, the ring. Just Corruption. Okay.
Anyway, that's for later. Like, we're not even hyping Disc 6 yet. Like, let's not hype Wrath. Like, Wrath of the Lich King when? In 3 months.
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait.
Speaking of which, how long do you think they're gonna make us wait until T6?
3 months, 3 4 months.
I'm saying like
you
4
think?
to 6 months.
That's what we just had, right?
That's what we had, but I don't know if they're going to stay consistent. I don't know if they're going to stay consistent.
Were they consistent in Classic?
No. When have they ever been consistent?
I don't know. I didn't play Classic. Were they consistent?
No.
Oh.
Haven't. But I think here's the thing. I don't think we're seeing tier 6 before the end of the year for sure. I'd expect maybe February or March.
I would say January, late January. I'm calling it now, late January.
For the PTR, man.
I'm calling late January T6 in January.
I want T6, no PTR.
I
don't
think
want a PTR
would be awesome.
I think like a week of PTR or something to like see how they do their mechanics, you know? Like how are they doing it compared to our private server?
Even look at KT, it's not bug fixed. What the fuck are we doing PTR for? So might as well just like go for it.
They should do it like they have done previously. I believe Nax they did this where you had like 4 hours where you could do it and that was it.
Yeah,
right?
that's perfect.
It being open so you could actually see boss fights, you could test actual mechanics and then see what was going on.
Yeah.
Now all we're getting is people spending 20 hours a week on the PTR and making the first clears kind of a meme. Don't get me wrong.
So PTRs weren't like that in Classic? They didn't have them that long?
For some phases they did. There was actually no PTR for AQ if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then Nax they did certain time frames, like there was like 4 or 5 hours you could do, or you could test bosses or something like that. But I mean, don't get me wrong, the progresses of the world and those top 4 or 5 guilds are just gonna play on their own private server, right? Yep. And they're just gonna still spend 20 hours a week in there. But
it'll be a better.
It's the other guilds that they don't need to be in there. You know
the top out of the top 10, you're gonna have a better, like, just more competitive experience, I think.
And you could say that, oh, well, if they're playing on private servers, it's not scripted the same and whatnot.
It's the same thing.
I mean, you can fix it to be the same thing too.
Yeah.
A lot of people in these top guilds, they know how to fix it. Like, I'm not going to mention who, but when I was playing in Progress, when we were racing for World First in Classic, the fact that they spawned Ragnaros in early on, like before Classic was even out, we used that as a time to calculate boss armor and average boss armor for the different tiers and resistances and stuff like that, just off of them like joking around and spawning Ragnaros. So the top end guilds, even if the PTR is up for an hour, they will abuse that hour and just change whatever their private server settings are to copy whatever it is.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about the seed set real quick, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
I saw the chat, that's why. So Rye, this is your set. Is this? So
Yeah,
I
so
actually let me start before I have a seed set, but I don't actually use the 4 set. I don't care about it until I had a guildie come in here and I witnessed it. I like he was in my raid without it, and then he went and got it and came back to raid, and I was like, oh shit, okay, so now I'm getting it. You know, I'm a little late on that, but yeah, talk about it. That's it. That's all I want to say. So it pumps. I have witnessed it. It pumps. So.
Yeah, so basically it's a phase 1 set, as you can see from the boots, but basically the philosophy is the same. What you really want for seed is there's 2 situations. It's AoE capped or AoE uncapped. So quick thing, there is a cap on damage, after which if you add some spell power, seed doesn't add anything. Anyway, so seed also scales badly with spell power. So generally speaking, for a seed set, you want some crit. On top of that, haste is the best thing you can have because more seeds is better than anything else you can do. And so that's why you have quacks, that's why you have all these gems that are crit. And now the elephant in the room is the 4-piece. As Crix said, it is huge because can you hover it, Crix, please? Just real quick. So over the 4-piece set.
Oh, can you see that one? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so basically the thing is, it increases the damage of Seed of Corruption by 180. Doesn't seem like a lot, but considering Seed of Corruption as a scaling on spell power of 22%, that means that this 4 set is equivalent to giving you 800 spell power. Nothing comes even close. So the idea is that like it's kind of a mixed set for both capped and uncapped, because uncapped is basically carried by the Oblivion seed set, and cap is carried by the crit and the meta gems and the haste. So that's kind of like the general idea. If you really want to go way in depth, you do 1 capped and 1 uncapped seed set, but like that's far too restrictive because obviously things in packs don't all die at the same time. So at one point you could start a pack capped and then go uncapped, whatever. So this is really the general philosophy. As for trinkets, obviously quad because of haste, and I have Shifar Nexus Horn there, and I see that Crix is putting Sextant, which is basically the big brother, because crit is something that is one of the ways you bypass the AoE cap. Because let's just say if everything was capped at 1k, if you do a crit, it's going to do 1.5k. So it bypasses the cap. So this brings a lot of crit on the balance, so 40 crit rating. And on top of that, the proc, when you crit, like when you seed a lot of target, you're bound to have like a few crits, 1, 2, 3 crits in the meantime. So you're basically proccing this thing on the very first seed, which makes it a very good trinket both for capped and uncapped situation. And the rest, yeah, you just put the best pieces you have that are big on crit, big on SP as well if you have on spell power, and you drop hit.
The biggest thing is getting that 4-piece. If you don't have the 4-piece and you want to compete on trash, you have to have it.
Yeah.
I can confirm that fully.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because on the guild that I joined fairly recently, at one point I mentioned a seed set offhandedly, and we went into TK, and I had a rogue that like whispered me in the middle of a pack saying, "You were not joking about the seed set." Like, no, I wasn't. I really wasn't. Yes, I am nearly in full blues, but here you say the difference.
Yeah, it bumps. That's unexpected.
Someone in chat said Kale is fixed. Thank God I already
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Blue post.
That
funny
Can you
fight
link
is
it? Can you
so
link the blue
annoying.
post, please?
Literally, we spent all day today wiping to it. So it's good they fixed it right after we did that.
I mean, it's such a bad feeling too, because like you'll cast a Shadow Bolt and be like 40k under threat cap, and you're like, all right, fine. And as soon as it starts going through the air, it's like threat wipe. Okay.
Let's see. Items and disenchanted can be item restored. Cool. Some missing NPCs.
Yeah.
Okay. Fixed an issue where enemies such as Kael'thas, Sunstrider, and Lady Vashj could wipe threat from their primary target at their mind controlling players. There you have it.
Thank God.
There you have it.
That fight is.
Finally.
Let's be honest, it's probably still gonna happen, but
Less so.
Like-
Hopefully, maybe.
I can't wait to actually be able to use my staff now for myself and not have to stand in range of the druid tank.
I wasn't even doing that.
It's so nice. It's fixed, man. It's
didn't
gonna
even
be nice
notice it.
not having random
think we
deaths
got
every
lucky.
now and then.
We got lucky and
You
didn't
didn't
have it.
notice it? What do
got-
you
It
mean?
It was every pull. What?
Yeah,
How do
it
you
it was
not-
every time
On
someone
Prague
would see
KT,
it.
we like wiped once or twice, and that was it. I didn't remember having a bug. We didn't have a bug issue. I had a bug issue with Capernian.
You just got lucky then.
Yeah,
Oh,
with Capernian. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We didn't
You got
see it. We
extremely
just,
lucky.
we
Yeah,
just fucking-
Cabernet is a bad one as well.
What's
Well,
wrong
maybe
with
it wiped
her?
it the first time. Maybe that's what wiped it the first time. I
Well,
wiped it.
here's the thing. So in phase three, I don't know if it's a bug also, but basically, when they respawn, she instantly buggers off to somebody far away.
Yeah, so
And there's also the other problem that's if you're too far away from her, she just doesn't reset your threat. So sometimes she pops and like some guy has like 40k threat. You're like, well, I'm not
going
doing that.
going into phase 3, if anybody is out of range at any point of 100 yards of KT when he reses all of them, their threat will not drop on
Yeah,
the res targets.
Yeah.
So you have to be within 100 yards of KT at all times.
I think it's less than 100 yards because like even like 3/4 of the room is enough, and I don't think that's 100. But yeah, anyway, that's like
Yeah, my guild just started stacking on the steps
Yeah.
just to make sure.
yeah.
And like I don't know, like
We
that's
stand in the middle, it
obviously
works.
still a bug, but they didn't say anything about that mechanic changing.
That's what I was gonna say. They didn't say anything about that.
So
Yeah.
if you're experiencing that issue, stay closer to KT throughout the whole fight.
Yeah, we stuck basically in the middle front of room, and it works. So that's a good point. Well, I'm like the Warlock tank, so I'm
So now
buggering off to the side.
KT will turn into a mechanics fight and not just praying to God that they don't reset threat every MC. So that's nice.
Well,
I mean, you didn't like the RNG?
No, I did not. Did not.
all right. Well,
Wait,
at this
did we
point, I guess we
finish?
can ask some questions in chat.
Did we finish F?
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of breezed by.
Do we have anything to
I
add?
mean, I think true. We didn't look into
The
like
gear's
set
really, really
Affliction.
close to Shadow Destro. You're pretty much just
Yeah.
Shadow Destro, but
Yeah.
putting up a couple dots. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
which, by the way, you
if
should be
you-
putting up your dots. Don't not put up dots. I see Affliction
I
Lock's
mean,
not
if
putting up
you-
dots, just spamming Shadow Bolts like you're a Shadow Destro lock. You should not be doing
Exactly.
that.
I mean, if you're UA, your gear is closer to Demo. If you're Affliction
Mhm.
Ruin, which you should be, it's closer to Shadow Destro.
Yeah, I agree.
Basically, it.
Well, did we have any closing questions or anything with the chat?
Use Emo's Affliction, yeah. There's times when I didn't, like on Void Reaver or something, because it was like hectic and mana, and I'm afraid to tap a little bit on the fight. If you're afraid to tap, if you're ever afraid to tap, if you think like Fathom Lord, where the Cataclysmic Bolt can like one shot you randomly, if you're out of nowhere, like fights like that where you're kind of careful on tapping, just be a little careful. And it's a multi-dot fight too, so like I'll kind of leave Emulate out of that one sometimes.
You guys use some
I think we have a
Finish.
question for
Emulate.
live, by the way.
You what?
Yeah, apparently we have an important question.
It's for live.
Get milk, baby. How you
I-
doing, brother? Hi, what's up?
I use Head and Shoulders just Walmart brand shampoo, my brother.
I didn't even
I'm
see that,
using
bro.
the same thing for sure.
just the generic big bottle Walmart brand. That's it. That's it. No secret over here.
That was fucking funny. Someone said, yeah, the NG demo sim higher with non-engineering than engineering. You would run T4. I mean, no T4 2-piece in it.
One quick thing about the seed set. I got asked how long will this last for. It's basically you're gonna start replacing it when you start getting a lot of haste, because as we said, like casting more seed is just better than casting less seeds. Like simple as that.
As for the guy asking about NG versus non-NG, so I did sim a non-NG setup, and what I did was I ran T5 helmet because T5 helmet is still also very good. So I went helmet pants for T5, and then I went gloves shoulders for T4, and that would be absolutely no engineering. And it was slightly worse by, I believe, like 30 DPS.
Some people are just blessed with god tier hair, but yeah, not us. I'm molding already, but I don't want to talk about it.
I mean, I still got my Widow's Peak going on. I'm malding.
Why Band of Eternal Recurrence? They're the same. Pretty much the same thing. I just have it on because I'm going to be in Mountain Hydral. How the ring works is you just upgrade it with rep. You'll go clear a one wave damn near and pretty much go walk out and upgrade it. So I'm just going to have it on. Really doesn't either one. Do
it's
either
the
one.
same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Whichever you have.
Yeah.
But the Band of Eternity, you just do a quest, right? Well, I guess you gotta kill Vash.
And yeah,
right?
it's literally right out front of Mount Hydral. You like 10 feet from the portal to go inside. You are turned. That's where you return your rep and again to keep upgrading it. I'm sitting too. You're not alone. Says the Pantene Pro V commercial looking ass up there. I got good gear, 21 crit, unbuffed demo spec. Should I drop the last talent point, Felguard, to put it in Ruin and play with Succubus? Is this better or not? It is better if you can keep it. So that's the best spec in the game, pretty much, if you can keep her alive. The problem is keeping her alive and while she's attacking. Let me reiterate: keeping her alive while she is meleeing the boss.
Yeah,
you can do that. You got it. Bro.
Good luck.
You got it, bro.
Even going into the future, like Sunwell and whatnot, that spec is extremely strong because you have like the best of all the talent points, but Succubus is a piece of paper. She will die to literally anything.
Wait, you have Swift on here over Chaotic? You don't want Chaotic in your seat set?
Oh fuck! No, it's my bad. I mean,
Chaotic.
it's kind of it's kind of the either or. Basically, Swift is for a haste proc that could maybe or maybe not let you a seed.
What?
Chaotic
Swift
is
is
for
spell
the crit.
damage and running speed.
You're exposing a secret
No.
parsing strat, man.
Mystical. No, it should be mystical. I mean, anyway, either or. Yeah, Swift. Like that's a mistake. So, but basically for seed set, it's either chaotic or mystical. I prefer chaotic.
Yeah, mystical. I think mystical's in the late version of it. It was nerfed at some point in TBC back in the day. It was really good. And then it was nerfed.
No, it's a good version. It's the good version.
Okay, it is the good version. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but still, like the problem is like it's bad jamming. I mean, but basically now it should be chaotic. That's nice.
Succubus Demo needs more crit. Yeah, because you have Ruin. Ruin is the reason you want crit, which is why, like, as a Felguard or UA, yeah, I'd love the crit. I still want to crit. You still want to crit all the time if you can as a Felguard, but it's just not as much damage as if a Destro was critting or anybody with Ruin, I should say, is critting.
I mean, as I like to say, Shadow Bolt, big number goods, or if it's just big number goods, bigger numbers gooder. So, crit gives you a bigger number, so it is gooder by definition, right?
Bigger, always gooder.
Yeah, exactly.
Me good.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling to my girlfriend.
Yeah, crit's worth like 3 times as much as with Ruin than without it. Or at least Shadow Destro has.
Looks like we got a bunch of questions coming in.
Hit 'em.
Crix, you got one here.
I'm using the spec you used during SSC and TK proc Shadow Destro without improve emulate. Love not casting emo pumping with only Shadow abilities long fights. That's your Destro spec of choice. That is mine. Yes, that's what I prefer. It's one of those things where both of them you have 2 styles. It's like you have as if we didn't have enough specs to play already. If you want to play Shadow Destro, you have the option of going what I do, which is me being a little bit lazy and I like spamming Shadow Bolts and I don't want to put an emulate. Or you can choose to throw in a dot in there and have virtually the same DPS with both of them. It is exactly the same thing, pretty much. You just have a different style to play. You know what I mean?
It's not.
And I don't do that one every time either. Sometimes I'll go put it tomorrow. I mean, next time I'll probably put it in late. Sometimes maybe I'll do. I don't like watch my raid. I do something different every time I raid. I don't do like the same thing. You know what I mean? So I might do one and keep up emulate one time. It depends, But no, I don't. I generally will not. Some fights I do if I know I have to run. If there's something where I'm moving afterwards, I'll put it's now to clarify when I'm doing this, I'm not literally every fight only Shadow Bolting. I am using emulate on occasion. It just depends. It's all situational. I just more often than not I'm not using it, but there's times when I use it if I need to move or something, or if I know something. There's times I can get value out of it. I will.
Wait, if you don't have these talents and you are in a situation where, for instance, if you sim, you are just spamming Shadow Bolt. The value of emulate is not because you're moving.
Good example, Gruul, Shatter. I still am going to put an emulate before the Shatter, and just so I can run off and fuck off and get the Shatter and stuff damage up. Those situations, I'm doing that.
Yeah, okay, those situations, gotcha. That shouldn't be the case, but I mean, it should. It's a question of casting anyway. That's a bit entering into the weeds, and like I don't want to drone on. I don't want to drone on and on for too long.
If you want to get number one, you spam shadow. I'm spamming shadow. I don't care what anybody. You can't talk me out of not spamming shadow balls. From the rest of the time that technically, like I said, I will do some shit where I'll put points in there and do immolate. But from the cata build, spamming shadow bolts, you will never. That shadow bolt is the best spec, and the rest of the game is shadow Destro, in my opinion.
I mean,
in T6 Sunwell, this is the spec you'll be as well. You're not going to be keeping up immolate in T6 Sunwell.
Well, technically, the highest ceiling is spamming incinerate, but you know.
Yeah, shut up! I know. I don't have that luxury. Okay. Sometimes when I see my shadow rolls off, I imagine the fast incinerates and the crits, and it's just so magical. I only got to do it a couple times, bro. It's just so magical to. It's just it's critting and it's so fast, and it's just
Yeah, I mean the difference in cast time between incinerate and shadow bolt isn't actually that big, but it feels.
It's
way
so
better.
bad.
It feels so
Dude,
much
when
better.
I have to play Shadow on allll, I want to delete the game. That's how bad.
I don't mind it, bro, because those fucking shadow bolts hit sometimes, bro. The shadow bolt is literally a fucking face, bro. That's so cool.
It's so sluggish, though. Like
having a
2.5 seconds cast time after like spamming things at 225.
Oh god, 0.25 seconds.
You feel it, man.
Yeah, I know. Especially, I'm just talking shit. I know.
Especially on quags. On quags, like you just pump 4 incinerate. You have the big dick casting speed. You're like, boom.
To address a question Jaru brought up, I'm in a very good guild with pet healers. Just want to be sure it would be a good way to go. And should I skill succubus talents in the trait? You could skill like filler talent points depending on if you're 2/2 Hellstone, 1/2, or 0/2, etc. You can put like filler talent points into the succubus talent points, but really it doesn't make her damage insanely better. It's just very, very, very.
Well, let's
small.
think about this. So he's actually talking about really running succubus in there. You can go boss by boss and know which fights you're literally not going to be able to use her, like allll.
Well, that's not what he's saying. He's saying, should I put talent points and improve succubus in the demonology tree and improve Lash of Pain?
Actually, the answer is for succubus, possibly, but I wouldn't go. But for Lash of Pain, I wouldn't because the way you want to do it is actually micromanage your Lash of Pain. So around the ISB stack, and the decrease in cooldown is just more often than not going to be useful to you.
Bro, if you want to, you just take 2 points out of anywhere and put it if you really want to. It's not the Fel Intellect and Fel Stamina they're cool. Well, Fel Stamina I'd probably take because you succubus, but Fel Intellect. No. I mean, you want to do it. Run a different Hellstone.
What are you taking off? What are you taking off to get?
He can take int. He can take anything he wants off if you really wanted to try it. Take int off. Pick some.
No, that's like less damage from
you and
you pet.
That scales worse with demonic knowledge.
Yeah. Exactly. No, you don't have a Healthstone maybe.
It's
only base damage though, so you probably shouldn't run it.
Base damage. Yeah. So basically, I think if it's like imp, and I think it's like lower than imp, it should be looking around like 12 to 15 DPS.
At your balls for running it. I wouldn't. Yeah, that's crazy.
Like I said, the talent point is extremely minimal. The main point of the spec is, can you keep her alive in the first place? And I think someone else commented in here, it's even if you have really, really good healers in your group, her health pool in general, even if you give her kings, stam, armor scroll, everything, it's really not that good. And she doesn't have avoidance like the Felguard does, the passive talent. And she also has about I think it's 55% of the scaling on stamina and armor and whatnot that the Felguard has. So she just dies really easily. If something doesn't kill her in 1 hit, it will kill her in 2 hits. And if those 2 hits happen with 3 seconds in between, then your healer had to have targeted your pet immediately after taking the damage to get a cast off. And most oftentimes, your healer's already going to be finishing their cast on the tank or whoever they're healing, and then maybe they'll heal your pet after they finish their cast. But the chance of them actually saving your succubus is really, really low.
I feel like that spec is more trying to get, if you're trying to get Destro parses and you can stand still and pump a little bit, because that's going to be you can just go on bot, Lurker. Like there's so many Lurker, Leo, Fathom Lord, Cataclysmic. Everything's gonna hit her and she can just die right away. Almost well, every boss has something that she can KO.
Luckily, you could even do the same right now. But even if you keep her just standing next to you, not meleeing at all, sure, it's not like the ultimate spec anymore, but it's not even that bad. It's comparable to Shadow Destro with her just standing next to you.
What am I missing here? Why is this not working?
Slightly lower at our level of gear, I think. Very slightly.
Vanadar said, how does T5 2-piece interact then? So T5 2-piece is less good if you're running Succubus in particular.
She's still getting two-shotted.
Exactly. It's tier 5 2-piece is more so for a Felguard build rather than a Succubus build.
Someone asked, have you guys been getting PIs from the priests? Are they still giving them to mages? And the answer is, if anyone in your raid is running PI, then they're griefing.
No, I wouldn't go that far, honestly.
I think a priest should be improved demonic, improved.
Yeah, IDS. For sure.
Yeah, I just went for.
But PI, no.
PI is deep.
That said, I am not above bribing any priest that does run PI. So, if anybody wants to make some pocket change, you know where to find me.
Only one PI?
Well,
the only one.
Well, gentlemen.
Triple PI, triple lust.
PI unless no stacks, it's a gimmick.
That is true. PI unless do not stack. You do get the mana reduction, though. But
but there exist fights that are longer than 40 seconds. I know we are not used to them with what P1 was, but they exist.
I only fight Hiking Mulgar every week.
Yeah. Can't get the shoulders.
You still don't have the shoulders?
No, I'm just joking.
That would be fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, I only got mine like 3 weeks ago.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I was plugging on my mage first off.
I mean, you actually look on shoulders up until recently, right? So
my best neck is still though? Eye of the Night.
Oh. Yikes. I'm never doing a Karazhan. I did my last Karazhan last night. I'll never do another one. Too many Karazhans. Cool. I think that's it.
Alrighty. Yeah, seems like time to wrap things up. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And so, what are we covering next time?
I think next
on our
one
next
we
episode?
do. I don't know.
All right, we'll go with that.
Do some DPS stuff, stuff. Is there more informational stuff we can do? No, yes. Last week was specs. This week was gear. I guess it's just parsing stuff, right?
Yeah, I think we'll just do VOD reviews and parsing, like have B-roll of our VODs in the background. Maybe not any Fire Warlocks, cringe content, but like the Chad specs are more than welcome.
I'm just gonna get my 99 on Charactress. That was absolutely not cheesed by us for getting an ad.
Sure. Forgetting an ad. Yeah. Forgetting.
That said, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the past cheesing that's gonna happen on that thing.
You guys seen the Hydros thing yet, where you just permanently kite him on the bridge, and you just stand there and cast? Anyone seen that yet?
I have not seen that.
No, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you can can basically ledge jump him back and forth. It's really dumb.
Yeah. That said, I'm wondering in speedruns if you can't just let one warlock solo Hydros, by kiting him around, and the rest of the raid clears everything else while the warlock kills Hydros.
I would.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Probably wasn't that interesting.
Maybe 2 warlocks too, so that it only takes 1 hour instead of 2.
Yeah, if we don't see 15 warlocks in the next speed run, I don't know what's going on.
How do you guys feel about stacking warlocks?
I mean, I think it is good because, Banish is somewhat relevant. Their damage is good. Seed is good, blah, blah, blah. But man, I feel bad for the amount of splits that they have to run to keep all of those warlocks geared. Like, they're all after the same gear. Like, they all want the same thing.
Vests.
Yeah. Vestments, like Sun King's Talisman, which luckily you can get Verdant Sphere every single time, but still, weapons, are they all going for Glad? Probably not. Wand of the Forgotten Star or Fallen Star, whatever it is, all of those items, the gearing has got to be miserable. But is it good in theory for raiding? Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I mean, you saw what...
It's great, and it's not a surprise that it's what people should be doing.
You saw what Beefar did, right? I mean, they had...
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they were so close to Progress's time, with skipping not even close to as much trash, just shows how strong their raid comp was compared to Progress.
Yeah, I mean, Warlocks are just extremely good in the content, and in this expansion period. So, it be what it be.
Yeah, let's not talk about T5 Arcane Mages right now.
You're going to see a lot of Warlocks.
Arcane Mage, you mean Fire Mage?
Yeah.
Scorch?
Yeah, the Scorch bots.
Yeah, Scorch. Yeah.
Exactly.
Scorch.
Yeah, exactly.
As hard as Arcane Mages pump right now, I understand if I was a mage, I would also want to do that. So that's why I don't complain about it. Let them have their moment. We know what happens in T6.
Yeah, if I was playing a mage, which, like puke in my mouth, I would never do that. But I would also probably want to play Arcane.
Yeah. It pumps. That sound of that Arcane Blast critting, bro, that's something else.
I don't know if I wouldn't like take one for the team. I don't understand. I understand the wanting to pump, and yeah, it's nice. It's always funny to see mages pop up for the first 30 seconds and then I overtake them. But I understand why they would.
Yeah, I just like having. I want everybody to have some fun, man. I wouldn't want to be forced to play something I wouldn't want to play. You know what I mean? If there's one who's kind of on the fence a little bit, like, oh yeah, I want to, then I push the shit out of that person, right? But people are pretty adamant about it. It's no point in causing a ruckus over it, man. Guess I'll just have fun with fucking Felguards and 45-second Shadow Bolts,
Well, we've got what 10 months until I get Metamorphosis. 12 months till I get Metamorphosis.
Yeah, we're still doing this talking Lich King as well. We're gonna keep going.
I'll just wait patiently like a good boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, gentlemen. We love you all. Thanks for the support. Thanks for kicking it.
See you guys next time.
See ya.
Take care, everyone.